They are saying that these groups are targeting Christians. Christians have spoken out. I'm not aware of any Crusader Christian group in Nigeria. It does not exist. And so, why are we having this conversation over and over, rather than using this as a wake-up call to say, look, we must do the needful? I've told people often and often that as Muslims in Nigeria, even though we are victims as well as other non-Muslims, but the fact that the groups that are complicit in these killings, for them to be Muslims, places a special responsibility on us as Muslims to empathize with our Christian brethren when they are crying out now.
Okay.
So look, we feel.
Hello, what's up, guys? In this video, we are jumping straight into one of the most explosive interviews shaking Nigeria right now. And trust me, what this Northerners said has left many people stunned. So let's get right into it. Dr. Majeed Dahiru, speaking on Nigeria Info FM, made a bold and uncomfortable claim. The Nigerian government and many influential voices still do not understand what genocide truly means, and the way he broke it down has caused serious tension across the country. He explained that genocide isn't about how many people are gone, it is about why they were targeted. It is identity-based, faith, ethnicity, race, or even political belief. He said once an attack is tied directly to who the victim is and the perpetrators come from an opposing identity, that is when the red flag of genocide appears, and this is where the whole discussion got heated. He said Nigerians keep repeating that everybody is a victim, but if we truly look at the pattern, it doesn't add up. According to him, Boko Haram and violent herdsmen may attack Muslims too, but when this same group cross over and target Christians, that is when genocide becomes undeniable, even if the numbers are small compared to Muslim casualties. At this point, the whole studio went quiet. Dahiru then said something many didn't expect from a Northerner. Christians in Nigeria are justified to say they are facing genocide. But he didn't stop there. He turned to the Muslim community and said they have a responsibility to acknowledge what is happening because the groups carrying out these attacks identify as Muslim. He said Muslims should show empathy and even take moral responsibility instead of shutting down Christian complaints. Then he moved to the international angle, and this part shook Nigerians even more. The United States Congress is already running an investigation into alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria. Dr. Dahiru reminded Nigerians that America protects all religious groups globally, not just Christians. He gave examples. Saudi Arabia, China, Myanmar, all placed on watch lists for persecuting either Christians or Muslims. Then came the statement that caused serious reaction online. A US congressman said the situation in Nigeria is horrific, mentioning blasphemy laws, people facing death penalties, and attacks that clearly target Christians. He even said the Nigerian government may be complicit to one degree or another. Dr. Dahiru didn't hold back. He said these denials from officials don't match the reality that foreign agencies already know. He explained that Sharia-based states in the north undermine the constitution and violate religious freedom, and that you cannot call a country free when certain religions have fewer rights. And then he dropped another bombshell. He said Tinubu's last-minute peace meeting with Fulani and Christian leaders is itself an admission that the Plateau crisis has religious roots. According to him, the numbers don't lie. The victims are mostly Christians and the perpetrators are mostly Muslims. He questioned why Nigerians are refusing to think logically about it. His solution, not peace meeting, not dialogue, but a strong, unbiased security crackdown on anyone responsible for harm, regardless of identity or religion. He ended by warning that nobody should be begged to be peaceful. Law and order must be enforced with fairness, justice, and zero excuses. Guys, this interview is intense from beginning to end. I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
Dr. Dahiru, this issue of genocide against Christians and the killing of Muslims in Nigeria seems not to be going away. We hear that the big story in today's front page of the Punch, alleged Christian genocide. U.S. Congress begins full-scale probe into Nigeria's killings. Nigerian church leaders to testify at Congress Thursday. Tinubu Pete's emissary meets Plateau Christian Fulani leaders. Is this too little, too late? What are your thoughts? We hear that Majeed Dahiru, when mentioned by the U.S. House, have rejected their inclusion on the list of people who they want to look at.
You know, in all of these conversations, something became very clear to me. It's like people don't understand the meaning of genocide, particularly those in government and those that are sounding defensive, particularly in the Muslim community, unfortunately so. They don't understand the meaning of genocide. Genocide is a peculiar pattern of killing that involves the identity of the victims and the perpetrators. That is, when people are killed because of their faith, when people are killed because of their ethnicity, when people are killed because of their race, when people are killed sometimes because of their political persuasion, that is, it has to do with the identity of the victim, especially when the perpetrator is of a hostile identity as well. So we are still fixated on this narrative that all Nigerians are victims. I said, no, we are discussing genocide. All Nigerians cannot be considered as victims because the major culprit here, the jihadi groups operating in Nigeria, ISWAP, Boko Haram, and killer herdsmen, are all of the Muslim faith. They kill Muslims as well, but it does not count when we are discussing genocide. But once they cross the line to somebody else's faith, like Christians, no matter how insignificant the number is compared to the killings of Muslims, the red light of genocide is beamed immediately. You see, this simple misunderstanding of genocide has brought us down this road. So what we are saying is, whereas we've had killings across the country, but we have jihadi groups targeting Christians cannot be faulted in Nigeria for saying that there's a genocide against members of their community. And the solution is simple: stamp out insecurity. The semantics of whether it is going to genocidal proportion or not, or somebody feeling offended that they didn't talk about us, they're talking about Christians. Christians complained and petitioned the authorities. The United States of America has, as part of its foreign policy, protection of rights of religious freedoms across the globe, not just Christian religious freedom, all religious freedoms. It might interest you to know, sir, that Saudi Arabia, China, and Myanmar feature prominently on the State Department list of countries of particular concern. While Saudi Arabia features in that list is because, of course, there's no other religion that's allowed in Saudi Arabia to exist. But in the case of China, America designated China a country of particular concern because of its persecution of the Uyghur Muslim population of China. That is, in this instance, it is because of Muslims in China that America is concerned, not Christians alone. Now, if you go to Myanmar, the persecution and the genocide against its Muslim Rohingya population is the reason why Myanmar, or what you call Burma, the country called Burma, is in the list of the CPC. So it means that in some places where Muslims are persecuted, America has raised concerns. Where Christians are persecuted, America is raising concerns. So America is not fixated only on Christian rights or freedom of religious worship as Christians. It's about religious freedom. So in the case of Nigeria, they are saying that these groups are targeting Christians. Christians have spoken out. I'm not aware of any Crusader Christian group in Nigeria. It does not exist. And so, why are we having this conversation over and over? Rather than using this as a wake-up call to say, look, we must do the needful. And stop people often and often.
All right.
That as Muslims in Nigeria, even though we are victims as well as other non-Muslims, but the fact that the Jews are complicit in these killings, for them to be Muslims, places a special responsibility on us as Muslims to empathize with our Christian brethren when they are crying out now.
Okay.
To say, look, we feel your pain, we understand what you're going through, even though we are going through the same, but we take responsibility because we know that some of our own may have gone rogue, may have come to terrorists to terrorize you. So we are trying to call on you to join hands together with us now as a nation, as a people, to defeat this thing once and for all.
Okay, Dr. Dahiru.
The continuous defensive approach and trying to shut down people that are saying we are being killed and it's getting to genocidal proportion is unhelpful.
Okay.
It's provocative.
Dr. Dahiru. Yeah. Interesting point there. We hear that the paper has also written that some of those invited, to speak at that hearing of the House Committee on Appropriations. Remember, Donald Trump had put Congressman Riley Moore in charge of that, and he's in the House GOP Appropriations, representative there on House Appropriations Committee. So he is not backing down. He was on Fox News on Sunday. This is what the paper is saying. Congressman tackles Tinubu. This is Riley Moore, Republican, in an interview with Fox News on Sunday, said, quote, "We've already started that investigation, and it's the House Appropriations Committee. We're working with other relevant stakeholders in Congress, including the Foreign Affairs Committee, always also working with the leadership to present findings to the president as soon as we can. And once we have some real ground truth from our perspective, blah, 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 blah." He says, according to him, what is going on in the country is horrific, quote, "horrific, these killings of brothers and sisters in Christ, but we, and the president has said it, we're going to stop this." Okay, and he commented on Tinubu's pushback, that Trump claims do not represent Nigeria's reality. He says Moore countered the president, Tinubu, saying, "Unfortunately, that is completely false. I mean, there are states in Nigeria that have blasphemy laws. People who are facing death penalty right now for blasphemy against Islam. There's a person, quote, there's a person right now who is held in prison for defending himself from an attack by a Muslim militant from the Fulani tribe. He defended himself and is facing the death penalty. So there's a serious persecution happening in Nigeria, and President Tinubu, who is in a difficult position and trying to protect his interests there in that country, but they are complicit in this to one degree or the other with statements like this." So what do you make of the government's approach to this? Going out to say there's no genocide in Nigeria. And I mean, the Foreign Affairs Minister even looking at the Nigerian Constitution, saying the Constitution protects all freedoms, guarantees freedom of religion, freedom of worship, and all that. And then now, at the last minute, the president sending so-called peace emissary, special advisor, peace emissary, Dr. Abiodun Eshiet, to go meet with Fulani communities and Christians in Plateau State.
That is an acknowledgement. This last point you made about meeting Muslim and Christian leaders is an acknowledgement that the crisis in the Plateau has religious connotations. And for those that are saying the numbers, if you isolate Plateau crisis, the numbers on the Christian side is disproportionately high, and the perpetrators are Muslims. There are underlying factors: struggle for land resources, grazing route, whatever I want to call it. But the victims appear to predominantly of a particular faith, the Christian faith, while the perpetrators are mostly of the Muslim faith. I don't know why we are not thinking normally. I don't know why we are not just logical. And I've said that the solution is the peace meeting. The solution is a security crackdown on whoever is responsible for killing anybody across all sides. Whoever kills a Fulani man and steals his cattle should be brought to justice immediately. Citizens who simply share ethnic or religious identity with those they perceive to have violated their own properties and life should be either prevented from happening. That's what the president has wanted in the jungle. Or when it happens, the perpetrators should be brought to justice. This is the least the state can do. These peace meetings are unhelpful. You see, being law-abiding, being peaceful as a citizen, is a charitable activity. It is a must. You must be law-abiding. You must be peaceful. You don't have a choice. Nobody should be begged to be peaceful. Nobody should be begged to be law-abiding. The state should compel and enforce law and order and enforce peace and security across the land within a framework of justice, equity, and fairness. That's all.
All right.
As per the argument by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I find it disingenuous. You see, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you know that the global community have intelligence support from within Nigeria. They have agents here. They have emissaries here. They have embassies here. They have diplomatic missions here. And they are aware that the constitution that we are holding and showing them that this is what binds us as a secular country has been undermined by many states in the Muslim North that introduce Sharia law, which is contrary to the constitution, which undermines the constitution, which undermines religious freedoms. which institutionalizes persecution of non-Muslims, especially Christians. Why are we living in this denial? Why? I've made the point severally that any state you see, any entity, any sovereign entity anywhere in the world, you see that is governed by Sharia law. In such an entity, Christians don't enjoy equal rights with Muslims. It is embedded in the Sharia law itself. That is a hallmark of the Islamic State. That is the foundation for the persecution you're talking about. You don't enjoy equal status. A non-Muslim can never lead a Muslim Sharia governed state. There are levels in life you cannot rise to. If you exist at the mercy of the dominant Muslim group. And that is a fundamental contradiction to the Constitution of Nigeria. Fundamentally. No matter how we try to sell absurdity in this country, in the name of scholarship or whatever, it can never make sense. That's why I have dedicated my entire body of public work, intellectual work, to the dismantling of all religious interference in the affairs of state. The state and religion must be separated firmly. Why the Constitution should guarantee all religious groups the free practice of their religion without inhibition, but without imposing their values on others. You can't have a law in Kano, for instance. When the consumption of alcohol, the religion does not allow it. The religion does not prevent him from taking alcohol. Why should it for any person taking alcohol? Why must you even go and not try out by destroying people's businesses that are engaged in the sale and distribution of alcohol because your religion does not like it? You have crossed into somebody's red line. You have violated somebody's economic rights. The same way, for instance, if a state in the south tries to make a law and say, okay, people must consume alcohol to reside in this state, how would you feel? And say it's a political site. For you to reside in this state, you must take alcohol first thing in the morning. So simple. If you want to take alcohol, you take. If you don't want to take, people that want to take.
All right. Okay.
That's the kind of freedom we want.